This is for your sister. You're taking video for your sister. You're going to send it to her?
Yeah.
All right.
Say hello, Tina.
Now, have you seen? Have you already taken some? Have you been taking it? Because I can show you some really pretty things if you want to videotape it.
Yeah. Whatever you want to do.
All right. All right. And now, this isn't your first time here.
No.
Are you a member?
No.
Well, I'm going to show you a couple of things that are very interesting. This is called a tulip tree right here. This purple one.
Uh-huh.
It'll bloom for 3 weeks and then it'll develop a green ordinary leaf. And it's a nondescript looking tree. It's an interesting, it's kind of like a dogwood, you know. Dogwoods bloom for just a very short period of time. All these tulips here that you see. This is going to be a field of tulips in about 2 weeks. There's one popping up right there that we got.
Oh, yeah.
But all these tulips that you see, I'm going to try to show you. Let me get to a while they're standing there. We'll go to another one.
Excuse me.
For example, right here. You see how the pansies are.
I saw on the web there's a car with a bunch of flowers all over. Did you know where?
The car? I don't know if we still have the car, but if we do, it's going to be down that pathway. About
Just go around here, huh?
straight down,
Straight down.
till, and it'll be on the left side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Got what I was going to tell you. Here's an interesting, I can show it to you here. Pull right over here. Now take a look at, when you look down here, you're seeing the tulip, the pink tulip coming up, and it's surrounded by pansies. And then above it, you have the daffodil, okay? So this is all orchestrated. It's all timing. So when we plant our tulips, we plant them at different heights in the ground, different levels in the ground. So one will be here, one will be here, one will be here. So as this one rises and develops and lives and dies, that other one's coming up right behind it, living and dying, and then the other one's coming up behind it.
Oh.
So it's all orchestrated, and the colors are orchestrated. Now these daffodils will die off about the time that the tulips develop. And of course the pansies will start to die as it gets warmer. It's primarily a winter plant. I mean, if you were here a month ago, all you would see is pansies because they're the only ones that can handle the weather. So it's all very well orchestrated and designed. And this looks like it's going to be pink tulips. Everything is labeled for you. But on the left-hand side, we see some violet perfections. Those tulips are in there, along with some pink ones. So the color is designed by our landscapers. Look out there. Can you see right over that garbage can? You see a big white house across the lake. I don't know if your camera can see it, but you can see it, right?
Right.
That is a copy of Mount Vernon, George Washington's home in Virginia. That home is an exact copy.
Wow.
Well, except it's 20% larger. Now, people ask me, well, why is it 20% larger? The only answer I have is that we do everything bigger in Texas. But the reason why I mention that home to you is because when we acquired the 22 acres that we're currently on, that big white house there, that is the Camp estate. So Mr. and Mrs. Camp built that house in 1940 at a cost of $80,000. Now, at 1940, $80,000 like $1 million today. And everything that touches water, the roof and all that, is made out of copper. And copper was very expensive during the war years construction materials were very expensive. It was 3 floors, a basement, the ground floor, and then the top floor is all bedroom. But when we acquired this 22 acres, we already had the 44 acres of the DeGoyer estate, which is that large house down there. You've seen that. Well, the Hunt family was living in that house at the time. And when we acquired, one of the most beautiful, over there you can see the White Rock Lake behind us, and those 2 trees in the distance would be the balcony of our outdoor theater. And it slopes down this way, and if you were to go down this way, you would walk down. Have you been to the outdoor theater? So you know where that is.
Yeah.
All the flowers in this garden, magnolia glade, you see the sharp line that distinguishes the orange from the white. All the flowers in this garden are all white. And very popular with brides-to-be.
Well, I noticed he had the Shakespeare that was in the White Garden last
Yes, we
spring.
moved
Did
it
y'all
around.
purchase that?
I think we did. I haven't asked that question yet, but see, all of the others are gone.
I know.
I think we purchased it, and it's going to be permanent.
Good,
Yeah.
but I sure wish you would have had more than one because they were beautiful.
There's a tulip tree right there. Of course, this is Magnolia, this is Crepe Myrtle Alley, right here, one of the most popular photographs. When these crepe myrtles bloom, they're all red, crimson red. And it makes for a lovely area, especially for weddings when you put white wooden chairs on either side of the runway. Very popular. We do over 300 weddings a year here at the Arboretum. Many are there. Now, in 1936, there was a building in Dallas called the Dreyfus Building. And the architect... So our cherry trees are blossoming.
Those are cherry trees.
And we have some Yoshino cherry trees, the same cherry tree in Washington. They'll be blooming in about a couple of weeks. They're down here. It goes along with Dallas Blooms, which starts on the 24th, featuring all of our tulips.
But you're already blooming.
Yeah, the winter was strange this year.
Very strange, very warm.
Now, do you want me to tell you anything about
Sure.
this house? Okay. Watch it. Okay, so Mr. DeGoyer, he grew up in Kansas, lived in a sod house. Poor family. When it was time to go to college, he went to Oklahoma College. Studied geology. And at the time, oil exploration was done primarily through 2 processes. One was wildcatting, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and the other one was seepage.
Okay.
And they would see a puddle of oil on the ground, they would dig a hole, and in both cases, more often than not, they would not discover oil. And here, have you ever felt a tulip?
Smelled a tulip?
Felt one.
Oh, well, I don't touch them. But,
So delicate.
oh yeah.
And yet it's very hardy, you know. So anyway, That's our restaurant, by the way. The first lamp on the left would be the restaurant de Goyer. Have you been in there?
Yeah, I think I have. I'm
Beautiful
not sure.
restaurant. So anyway, he is goes to Oklahoma College and studies geology. And there was a group of men who purchased a big tract of land in Mexico and were unsuccessful at finding oil. They heard about this kid in college who had these theories on oil and using science to find oil. And they approached him and said, well, how would you like to take a trip with us to Mexico? And he said no, and he spent all his money to get to college. He couldn't afford that. And, they said, well, we'll get you back into college, pay your expenses and so forth. Still very reluctant. And they finally said, well, look, if your methods help us find oil, we'll give you a piece of the profit.
Wow.
So he went with them. And this was a long journey. This wasn't a few weeks. I mean, we're talking about 6 months, 8 months, you know. So off they go, and they used his methods, and of course they found oil. Not only did they find oil, they found the largest oil in North and South America at the time. By the time he graduated from college, he was a millionaire. He opened his own oil exploration business, became immensely wealthy and very popular with the White House. And in 1940, he comes to Dallas because of its central location to the rest of the United States. And there was a brand new airlines taking off, pun intended, called Braniff. And so he brings his architect with him, and he says, I want you to build, I have 3 requirements. I want you to build a house, one, in the Spanish Revival colonial motif, and that's what you were looking at. 2, I want the house, after it's done, to have the appearance of being about 100 years old. And 3, it must accommodate my furniture. Architect said, well, what is it about your furniture I need to know? Well, de Goyer collected 16th and 17th century European furniture, big pieces. So that house is 21,000 square feet.
Oh, it is.
And it's a wonderful home to tour. So if your sister ever comes, you guys must take the tour of that home. It's preserved as it was back in the day. Secret rooms, a beautiful view of the women's garden right behind it. Women's garden is an absolutely stellar garden, stunningly stellar. And it's one that I always encourage all my guests to see. Now, in Christmas time, if you want to, you can come and sit right there under that gazebo there, arbor, this arbor, and you can actually sit on the real Santa Claus's lap, because he visits us here in December. I'm not the pretend Santa, I mean the real Santa. And
Okay.
he's here. Yeah.
Is he
I just
single?
wanted to point that out to you.
Does he bring Mrs. Claus?
That's right. No, Mrs. Claus, no, she doesn't come on this trip.
Okay.
And I have the pleasure of driving Santa from there on this tram to there every year.
Okay.
Hi! Now, the color garden back here is absolutely gorgeous, and most people get on this road, see, and they walk on this road. We're on the edge of the Arboretum.
Yeah.
To see the Arboretum, you need to go that way,
Yeah.
and there's a pathway down there, and then you walk up that right along the lake. You walk right along the lake, and you get into so many little beautiful gardens. It's amazing what we've done. In the not too distant future, we're going to be able to take our trams back there, but we're working on that roadway.
Okay, good. Right.
Well, here we are, and I am off duty.
All right.
So my
Thank you.
last tour of the day.
Thank you.
And there you go.
I'll
And if
continue-
you're
I'll
late-
continue walking then.
Okay.